Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 193 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. It is the weekly edition, and this one involves two of my lathes. So it's going to be about this lathe, but I need my other lathe to make it happen. So if that isn't a vague description of a video, I'm not sure what is. However, if you want to see what's going on, all you need to do is stay tuned. Well, for a channel that's supposed to be predominantly a woodworking channel, I sure haven't given you a lot of woodworking content lately. It's been largely metalworking. But I am of the opinion that in order to be a good woodworker, you need to understand working with metal as well. Now, I'm fortunate because I have a bunch of metalworking equipment that had I not been a teacher in the public school system, I probably wouldn't own because I wouldn't have been able to afford it. But when some of the equipment in our old shop went out at what I would say were fire sale prices, I basically jumped on the bandwagon, and here we are. So anyway, the latest thing that I'm working on is actually, you've seen this before. My dilemma was my tailstock locking lever. And you'll notice a few videos ago, I switched it over to the operator side of the lathe. And to be honest with you, that was a very good solution. If I was the only one turning at my lathe, I would have left it here and life would have gone on. I'd have been happy. Because you had good leverage to pick that up. Like I'm standing like this, I've got good leverage. With it on the other side, I'm reaching over, I'm reaching around. I've got a control panel here, which, by the way, I really love having it here. So that's not going to change, but it makes getting back here awkward. Um, and the only interference with the banjo locking lever was when I locked it to the right side of the banjo. But if I would have locked it to the left, it would have been fine. But when you have other people at times running your lathe, that I didn't want that to happen. It needs to be seamless, and people need to understand very quickly how things work. And there's no time to be fiddling with things back and forth. And it just, I think, destroys people's confidence in your piece of equipment. So I moved on to solution number two. Now, one of the things that brought on solution number two was the Hub City Turner class that I hosted here a few weeks ago. Trent Watts was the instructor, and I forget which, it's a weekly edition, maybe 2 weeks ago, where Trent turns a natural edge bowl. And it's fun to watch Trent turn. I've enjoyed him. He's a wonderful instructor. But this weekend, I spent more time watching his interaction with my lathe. And it wasn't just this weekend that prompted this, but I've noticed too that when he was working with, locking things down, he was always having to hit things with his hand. And, you know, we're all getting older. And the idea of knocking things with my hand to get them tight enough, I just don't like that idea. There's got to be a smarter way to do this. So anyway, I decided to try again with changing how I'm going to interact with this. I'm tired of having my hand be sore because I've been pounding on things with it. And the case in point is turning with my younger students using our little deltas and our little jets. They have little locking levers, and if you put a little bit too much tension on the headstock, the tailstock will creep backwards, which isn't good. And I give it a couple of really good wraps with my heel of my hand. And I joke with my kids that, yeah, when it starts to hurt, I know I'm at the right torque. So in a way, it's a torque palm. Yeah, I know, not that funny. And it's painful I can feel it for a couple days after I teach a class in here. So and I'm reluctant to beat it with a mallet because there's danger there, and you can't get any parts for those lathes anymore. So I'm just not going to risk it. So I'll figure those out at another time. But after changing my lathe back to the lever being on the far side of the lathe, I decided the only way I can make this better is to increase the leverage and adding a number of inches to the handle. Now, that creates another problem because it gets really close to this plate here. But then, and I was in the process of taking the plate off, and I got to the last screw, and then I just did that. And that's still very, very accessible for what I'm turning. So, and I can adjust this. I'm going to tighten this up just a little bit so that I can adjust this where I want it. And maybe once I find the sweet spot, I might see if I can drill and tap another hole. That really isn't an irreversible change. Like if you change things back to the way it was, it'll just be a hole that'll be covered up that won't be used. So I did that, and then I realized, well, okay, so I realized this before this, but I love the way Laguna builds their handles. You know, this end just threads off like that. That's M8 thread. It's a metric 8mm thread. And I'm just going to put this down here so I don't lose it. And then there's a foam piece that just slides off. Okay, this is actually harder to get off than you would think. Okay, and yeah, there's M8 threads here. So really all you need to do is find some 3/4 inch shaft, and this is, I didn't do any milling to the shaft at all. I just ran some sandpaper over to clean it. And drill a hole, tap threads in the end, and where is it? I went to the orange store and bought M8 by 30mm bolts. So these 30mm are the longest ones that I could find that had thread all the way along. Once you get to the longer bolts, there's only a little bit of thread at the end and the rest is smooth. So I bought these, and I went about making an extension. And it just so happens I've actually finished this one already. And on the video today, I'm going to show you this one. But so here's my extension. Now, I wanted it 10 inches long, but thanks to the internet, I drilled the wrong size hole to tap M8 threads. It said to drill a 5/16 hole. Don't do that. That's way too big. So I should have tested it before I drilled. So I bear some responsibility as well. But in the end, I forget what size hole I drilled, but I drilled it. I drilled a hole, tapped threads in here, drilled another hole in my metal lathe, tapped threads there. I also back beveled this a little bit, so kind of like the bottom of a turning project that you want to sit, like a candle holder. So the edge is going to sit on this shaft here. And that's all there's to it. This is really, for machining, this is really simple. And would you have to have a metal lathe to do this? No, you wouldn't. But I have it, so I use it. But the way this works is, this just threads in like that. Oh, by the way, I installed this and I put a little bit of blue Loctite in there, and I think that's holding pretty good now. And then I just cut the bolt off and just ground a little bit of a taper on it so it starts, and away we go. So adding, okay, we'll say 9.5 inches. Adding that makes a big difference in this. So, okay, so once I get it there, don't want to damage the shaft because it's hard to slide that foam over top. So just give it a little bit like that. That should do it. And the nice thing about this is it's all reversible. Now, I ordered some foam. I finally found out what the internet calls this stuff. I ordered 3/4 inner diameter, 1 inch outer diameter foam or whatever the search is I used, but I needed to put the ID and the OD in to get anything of value. Now they only sold this stuff in 10-inch lengths, so that was a bit of a disappointment, but I didn't check around to see any other places. But this slides on like that, and then the stock piece, see, this goes over the joint, so you don't see that, and then this just butts up to it, and it actually makes a fairly nice connection. And then you push it down all the way. Oops. And where did I put my cap here? So I don't know. I really thank Laguna for making this so simple. Like this is just, it doesn't get any easier. And now I've got a wonderful extension, and I can just do like this now. And I'm getting it way tighter than I did before. Plus, instead of reaching down and around, I'm just reaching across from the tailstock hand wheel. I love it. It looks kind of long, but who cares? So I don't know. I think this is what I'm going to stay with. And I think this is going to work really well. And I'm just going to show you how I go about changing the banjo locking lever. Not sure if you can see that with the way I've got the camera set up, but my plan is to add 4 inches to this handle as well. So that should, now I need to adjust this nut underneath as well. So a little extra length, there might be some teething problems with that, but I think that's the way to go. So as I head into my twilight years, I won't have to be banging things to get things to work. I'm just using some leverage for some added pressure, holding the tailstock in place, holding the banjo in place, and all those things are important. So again, if I'm fortunate and have a number of years yet that I can turn, maybe say 20, this way I don't have to work terribly hard to lock everything in place. So I think it's a wonderful modification, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Well, I'm at my metal cutting bandsaw getting ready to cut the second piece. I cut a 10-inch. It's a little proud of 10 inches because I'll face both ends on the lathe and make it perfect. But I'm just going to cut the 4-inch piece now. And maybe what we'll do is we'll bring you in a little closer for that. There we go. I have a pretty good blade on this thing. It doesn't take long to cut through that 3/4 inch solid stock. Well, I'm continuing to have all kinds of sound problems here. My mic dropped into my shirt, and that's, anyway, it's a problem. But yeah, there's 4 inches of shaft, and basically what I need to do is face both ends. We'll clean up the sides a little bit as well, make it shiny, and then we'll drill and tap a hole in each end to accommodate the M8 thread that the lathe has. So yeah, and I apologize to all the seasoned machinists that are watching this. I am in the process of learning and relearning a lot of the things that I used to know on the metal lathe, and I'm a little bit rusty. But I think basically, as long as what you're doing is safe, and of course it may not be the best right away, you need to learn, but to keep things going and just to try to learn new things is a good thing. I have the tool post set at got a couple degrees of angle in, like I'm pointing there, so that the outside edge is going to be a little bit longer than the center. And that way, when I screw it onto the piece that's there, it's going to be tight on the outside edge. We're going to make sure it makes full contact around the outside edge. And yeah, it seems to be working fairly good here. This doesn't take long. The lathe speed, I actually went into the booklet and tried to make sure that I was kind of running things at the right speed, and I think that's about as close as I can get. I am running a small little carbide cutter here. I'm not really used to doing that. When I taught this at the high school level, we would make our own cutters out of high-speed steel. There are good books available that show you how to grind them properly, and we did that. The dial gauge I have in the background is just along for the ride in this video. Sometimes the camera angle makes it look like it's actually doing something, but it's not. It's just there from another project. But yeah, another thing with my lathe is, you can't really see it here, but the cross slide and the saddle and everything's kind of sticky. It doesn't move quite the way it should yet. I think I'm going to have to do some extensive cleaning on this lathe to get it to work the way I'd like it to. Yeah, there I'm getting ready to drill a hole and just using a drill center to get the hole established. It's really nice to drill holes on the lathe. That works really well. But yeah, and that keyless chuck is also a really good thing to have. So I think for an amateur machinist, I'm set up, I think, fairly well. But yeah, I need a more precise way of sprinkling cutting fluid on things as well. But yeah, we're like I say, we're doing our best. And in one of my previous videos with this metal or engine lathe, one of the people watching the lathe or watching the video commented that my tailstock was moving back when I put pressure on it when I turned the hand wheel. And so I tightened that up, and I even noticed this time it was still creeping back just a little bit. So again, a little more setup work to do, but you don't get to learn that stuff or learn what you need unless you are actually going to use it. So that's these small little projects that have gotten me back into machining a little bit are really, really good. Now we're just changing, we're putting in the drill bit, and yeah, the internet told me for M8 thread I needed to drill a 5/16 hole yeah, to tap that. That's wrong. And I should have figured it out, but I just blindly accepted what the AI on my phone told me was correct, and it was way too big. So I don't know. I won't even hazard a guess as to what size bit this is. I could look it up, but I think maybe I do mention it in the video. But anyway, it's we're going to drill a hole, put a little bit of cutting fluid on, and drilling in the lathe like this is a really good way to drill holes. It's really accurate. And I decided I needed to drill a hole about 3/4 of an inch deep. I need to leave a little bit of extra length in the hole for the tap so that it doesn't bottom out in the hole, which is always a bad thing. At least in my experience, it has been. So, yeah, and basically, we're just getting ready to go here. I'm not even sure what this, oh, okay, now I'm measuring. There we go. Yeah, the 3/4 of an inch is good. And we're getting ready to drill the hole. So, yeah, like I say, some machinists would probably say, well, that's really not a good way to measure the depth. But I'm not machining a part where I need to have engineering level precision. It's just I need to have a hole. It needs to be deep enough. And that's all that really matters. Yeah, my dial gauge kind of looks like it's actually doing something here, but really it's not. So when we drill the hole, and that all worked out really well. The tailstock stayed in place good enough to do that. I have noticed a little bit of a bounce in the motor of the lathe when I turn the lathe on. It's almost like one belt's a little short, and the motor has kind of come a little higher than it should be, and when you turn the motor on, it jumps a little bit because there's no weight on it, but it settles out right away, and that's kind of the only issue I really had. So here I'm getting ready to thread things, and you can tell I'm a rookie here. There are really good ways to thread on the lathe, but I don't know how to do them, and I've never done them before. So I didn't want to experiment with this. I just wanted to get this done. And the bad thing about shooting video by myself is that I don't get the best angles all the time. So here I've got an M8 tap in my wrench, and I'm just slowly threading it in. Having a little bit of a taper as you start the hole is kind of handy. And I'm still kind of old school. I was always taught to turn the tap wrench about 3/4 of a turn or so, and then go back a quarter turn. And in theory, that was supposed to break the chips off that you were cutting in the thread in the hole. And now when I watch other YouTubers use taps, they'll put them in a cordless drill and away they go. Like I just have never done it that way, and I need to do some experimenting to see if that works properly. This I didn't want to experiment on. I wanted this to work right away. So that's kind of where this is leading, and this worked out really well. Eventually I just started pulling on the chuck key and slowly getting it threaded that way. Sometimes taking the chuck or the tap out altogether and cleaning all the chips off is a good way to go. Here I wasn't sure. I think I'm getting to the point where I wasn't sure if I was at the bottom or not. And you don't want to pull too hard because breaking a tap off in the hole is not a good experience. Unfortunately, in previous holes years ago, I've done that a few times, and that is a bit of an issue. But so I'm just going to mark just to see how deep I am, and then we'll back it out and we'll take a look, and if that's good, we'll clean the hole out, maybe with some compressed air. I don't know if I show that in the video or not, but yeah, it's been kind of a bad thing lately with my sound. I guess I'm going to have to buy some new stuff. I just happen to have a mic lying around here, and that's the only reason this is possible. So yeah, I decided we're going to go a little bit deeper yet. Not a good idea to leave the wrench in the chuck like I'm doing there. That can be really dangerous to do, but I'm working with it and hanging on to it at times, so maybe it's not quite as dangerous as... But yeah, that's the bottom. That's all I need to do. So I'll wind it out. I've been quite happy with this Mastercraft tap and die set. It's not a set that I use every day, but for when I've needed it, it's been decent. And I think, yeah, I drilled and tapped the other end off camera. Once you've seen one side, you've seen it all. And I'm just test fitting the knob that comes on the end of the stock handles on my Laguna lathe. And the threads work perfectly. And now we're just basically getting ready to clean up the shaft. So yeah, that one was actually a little harder to get off. It looked like they used some kind of a locking compound on it. But it worked in the end. And yeah, the next thing is just to get I got the 100 grit sandpaper there. And there really isn't much to take off here. Like it's just kind of a light debris, like dirt. A little bit of mill scale. You can see it's getting shiny really quickly.
And this finish doesn't matter at all. Like I don't have to change any diameter or anything, or make things a little smaller or smoother or whatever. I just wanted it to shine. And when it's shiny, the foam handles, the foam covers will slip on a little bit easier if it's uniform. And yeah, that worked out pretty good, and it doesn't take very long. So I just kind of kept on going here, and we got that done. And I'm thinking now we're just about getting ready to try to put this together. And my sound is working on the next segment, so hopefully this is all going to work out and I can get this video out today. But I definitely need some new sound equipment. So anyway, that's we're on to the next segment.
Well, I think we're just about ready to finish this off. I put the bolt in, or the thread, sorry, this is M8 thread, and I put it's a little bit more than halfway. I Loctited this in, so this is solid, and cut the head of the bolt off and made it, tapered the thread a wee bit, and it just simply threads on like this. Easy peasy. And the junction here is really nice. It's perfectly centered, and I don't want to rip this up too much, but we're going to put a little bit of, just tighten it up just a wee bit. There, I think that's good. And then I didn't do the best job of cutting that far end, so we're going to put that at the bottom and turn it around so it looks good. Yeah, that'll be okay. And then we'll thread this on. And look at that, that's a stock look. Oh yeah, that works really nicely. I would like to be able to tighten this up a little bit more, but then I can't move it around very good, so this is about where it is. Anyway, that is nice and tight, and it's really easy to operate. And it looks like it came from Laguna like this. So I think we're done. So we're going to wrap this video up. Well, that actually went really well, and it was really easy to do. Plus, if all of a sudden I sell the lathe and the person doesn't like it, it's all reversible. So there's no problem with doing this. I like the extra leverage, and it just makes things so much easier to get things really nice and tight on this lathe. So that's just one of the improvements that I'm working on this lathe right now. You'll notice this light here that I have, and it's a 110 volt light. You can buy lights for a Laguna lathe. They're really nice. They plug into the lathe itself, but they're halogens, I believe, and I think that's kind of hot, and they're pretty expensive. So I think I'll go my own route, and I have one to install yet, so who knows, that might even be the weekend edition. But yeah, this was easy to do. It's reversible. It makes the lathe easier to use. Doesn't take brute force to make everything tight, and that's the way I want it to be. So anyway, we'll see how this works. You know that I change things when they don't work, and yeah, if I have to eat crow with this, I will, but I don't think so. I think this is going to work. I certainly like the way it feels anyway. So with that in mind, that brings the weekly edition to a close. Thank you for watching. If you are, subscribers took a little bit of a bump this last week. I always appreciate that. Yeah, remember, subscribe, tell your friends about me, and the woodworker that never works with wood. Yeah, that's the way it's been lately, but it'll change because right now this is what I'm doing, and in my channel you see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So anyway, with that in mind, like I said, please like, share, and subscribe, and have an awesome rest of the week, and we'll see you on the weekend edition.